Let me tell you guys about BellyUpSports. BellyUpSports is the internet sports bar. Go ahead and check out their website, www.bellyupsports.com, to read some great articles from great writers all across the country, from hockey, baseball, golf, soccer, you name it. BellyUpSports is the premier, not your average website. 7 seed New York, Red Bull New York beating 2nd seed and last year's MLS Cup champion Columbus Crew in a 2-game sweep. There's no repeating champions this year. What happened with Columbus Crew?
That's a good question. But I did see that they had the leads in multiple times in both the games. So they just lost a couple of leads, and I guess the Red Bull came back. It was one of those weird ones. I think it almost felt like them beating them at Columbus kind of took a little bit of the out of Columbus, because it was their fortress to begin with. And then the Red Bull just come over here and beat them. And then you pretty much know that now you have to go to the Red Bull team, who's also red hot, and have to get a third game going, which makes it a lot harder.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where the biggest difference was that maybe their spirit were broken after they lost at home. And Red Bull is like, hey, we just beat the defending champion at their house.
Yeah, I mean, confidence is at an all-time high. You're going back to New Jersey. You got your home crowd behind you. They want to get past the first round, which, I mean, obviously, you have Xiaoyan from Xiaoyan always talking about how New York Red Bulls they just don't get past the first round. And which was so funny that Jose, just out of spite, chose Red Bull New York to win this match, even though he predicted Columbus Crew to be the MLS Cup champion. Which, I mean, that goes to show you where Jose's priorities go, where he just does not want Xiaoyan to be right, and respectively so.
Yes.
But yeah, no, Red Bull came in with the right mentality. This was the Red Bull that we saw earlier this season. Like, I felt that there was that flow in the attack, that I was just like, this is what we saw earlier the year. Maybe having Forsberg a little bit back and healthier was a big plus for them, and I think it's great for them to move on. Unfortunate for Columbus Crew, but like at the same time, it just goes back to the parity of this league, like, and with this best of 3 format, like, it opens up for different possibilities, and anything could transpire within these 2 to 3 games.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think one thing also that kind of popped up in a lot of this conversation, as you can see, how the Red Bulls kind of came into the playoff fresher than Columbus. I don't know if it's because they've played all those additional games during the regular season, but you could tell that there was a little bit of that lost from Columbus, where the Red Bulls, I guess, pretty much well fitted from their name of their team. It was playoff time. They grew wings. I guess that's the right Red Bull commercial. But it almost felt like that, right? Where, when they heard it was playoff time, that's when they played their style versus a team that was still maybe, limping into the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. Columbus not only had, they went deep in Leagues Cup, which they won. They went deep in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, which, I mean, they got blown out by who they play against? I think it was Monterrey.
But that was at their place too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like it's all of these, it looks like, red hot versus kind of limping towards playoffs. And that's how I felt
and then they had to go through a bunch of games getting caught up. And I mean, some of their catch-up games were in the international break, where you lose your goalkeeper, Patrick Schulte, and your backup goalkeeper in Hagen, because Hagen, is the starting goalkeeper for Guatemala. and so you're going with your third string keeper, and
Yep.
then I forgot what happened to him. Then you have a fullback having to come in and play goalkeeper. Just insanity on insanity. But and I think maybe it was just us just believing so much in Wilfred Nancy that this guy is just a tactical wizard at this point, where it just feels like you give the like essentially this guy's Batman. You give him time and he can beat anybody that's in his way. And I mean I still believe that as well. I still
I
think
still
Wilfred
think so.
Nancy is still the best coach in MLS. But I mean,
But he's not on the field. So,
yeah, and I
he can give all the tactic if you have tired legs and tired players, or you have to use multiple subs. I guess it comes to play, I guess.
yeah,
But not to take that away from the Red Bull, because, they've come back from behind, and they show that, if we win the away game, you come to our house, it's a different discussion.
it's just this Red Bull team is just resilient. Like I think that's like the right word to use for them. They came in, they're like, yeah, we're not the higher seed, but to quote Mike Tyson, everybody has a strategy until they get punched in the face. So I
Yes.
mean, like, and I think Red Bull was just like, let's just come out swinging, and that's literally what they did. They put it all out on the field, and they get to relax, go into this international break, and then focus on their next opponent in the quarterfinals.